Right now, we're in the early stages of deciding whether to be a Ridley dealer. Great for gravel bike riding, but oh my God, if they just check those surfaces.
Yeah, something's just not quite lining up on this. That's another problem.
That's not moving with that hammer. How did a bike become almost perfect? And can you believe that Ridley actually paid us 250 quid? Sometimes just aluminium is the better choice. We want to start our price at 3,750 quid. I think this is going to be a real brand to watch. Today I want to talk about Ridley. Now, we started working with Ridley recently because I was really interested in their aluminium frames. Now, they're famous for frames like this, the Kanzo Fast, the first aero gravel bike. They also make some fantastic aluminium bikes. And for a lot of our customers were asking for this, not because they were cheaper, but because they actually suited their use case more. But this frame came through to us with a lot of defects. And this is where the bike shop and supplier relationship has to work, because we spotted these in our quality control. We reached out to Ridley. They offered us a really good resolution. We're going to fix these faults, show you how we fix them, how we identified them, and then we're going to build this into a fantastic aluminium bike. You see, aluminium bikes normally suffer from being de-specced because frame builders think that you just want a cheaper bike, when in actual fact we can build this into something really fantastic. That's what we're going to do, and at the end you'll be able to buy it. So, close look at this frame. First of all, the paintwork is immaculate. You remember seeing that GCN video where Manon went around the factory tour? They obviously go through the paintwork really finely, no question of that, but there is some paint overspray in places. So my major concerns around the brake mounts as always. So the bottom has been completely painted over, which is a bit of a shame because the bolts need to sit flat. And across the top here, they've been masked off, but they haven't been finished after the paintwork. So there's some high points there in the paint. The same goes with the axles as well, where you can see they've been masked off, but paint has got underneath. Now, this is really annoying because nothing's going to sit flush. You're going to have a little ridge, and that's going to, with a bit of pressure, cause a little creak and a crack. It's just going to cause some noise. We want those to be absolutely perfectly squared off. There's no need to have any sort of paint against any of these surfaces. The bottom bracket is a similar story. The inside looks super clean, but these faces just have a ridge. If I run my finger around these, I can just feel that ridge. So we need to face that off, bring it back to a flat surface. The head tube, we don't normally see problems with the head tube, but on this one, I think you can see some damage. This is probably where it's been in the paint shop and it's been resting up against a pole so they can paint it. And this has just got a couple of bashes here, which is going to cause a ridge. In fact, if you try and put a bearing in here, you can feel the tight spots, so we'll need to face that out as well. Other than that, the general quality of the frame is really nice. The welds are on the beefy side, I have to say, but this is a gravel frame. Their road bike frame is significantly better and sort of better finished off. This is more like the weld you would find on a mountain bike perhaps. But I do like the fact it's been reinforced with this little plate at the back. This little section down here with this reinforced stay is nice as well. I like the cable routing. The cable routing is going to be really easy. It's internal. It's going to pop out here and then external down here, so it's going to be really easy to internally route. Great for gravel bike riding when you're going to get muck in your cables. Slightly annoying cable routing for us here in the UK because the rear brake is on the left-hand side of the frame, but we'll show you how to deal with that and make it look nice and neat in the build. When it comes to the fork, it's a pretty similar story. These brake mounts here just need a little bit of facing work, not necessarily to remove aluminium material, but just to remove some of this excess paint. And the same goes on the inside of these axles. Just that tiny little bit of paint overspray, nowhere near as bad as the frame, but we can just tidy that up. The big thing here though really is that this crown race is slightly too big. They actually come with a split crown race, which actually, if you would build this at home, would fit. But because that crown race is opened up, you'll find that the fork doesn't fit as flush as it should. It creates a minor gap, which is a little bit annoying. We're just going to run some sandpaper around that, make sure it's the right size, and the crown race will go on absolutely perfectly. Other than that, the rest of the steerer tube all looks fantastic. It's actually round. There's some white in there for fiberglass for those of you obsessed with that. But generally speaking, I'm really happy with the build quality. It's just, it hasn't been finished properly after it's been to paint shop. The paintwork is immaculate, but oh my God, if they just, in that QC, had just checked those surfaces, it would have been absolutely perfect. All right, let's get to work.
Another thing to be aware of, so on the inside of the frame, if you look down the cable routing port, there's actually 2 rivets on the back of it, and they stick up quite proud. If you run your cables and they cross over in the middle, it's quite easy to get the cable snagged on them, so that's definitely something to be aware of. Yeah, something's just not quite lining up on this. But I think what it is that is sat offset to the hole on the inside of that. Whether that's where that's sitting is about there, but there's quite a lot of paint overspray underneath the hanger. So what we were originally going to do was, I was coming up to face the brake mounts. You have to set it all up on the axle, because obviously if this is sat off center, you're never going to be able to get these flat. So yeah, that's another problem. I have to say I'm not massively impressed with this frame. Now then, do we sand the frame down? I'd quite like Paul to do that, to be honest.
So we are done with the frame now, and it's probably a bigger job than I first thought, mostly because of the sheer amount of paint down here. That took way more time than we imagined. The bottom bracket, straightforward job. The headset, straightforward job. The front brake things weren't as bad as I thought. It's just a tiny little bit of paint on the bottom one, so that was relatively quick. And I'll talk you through how we're going to make this aluminium gravel bike into something wicked. But first, let's take a look inside the frame. So what you can see here, going up through the bottom bracket and up towards the head tube, and these globs of metal you can see is just, we can see where the weld has actually penetrated through to the inside. So we've got a good weld penetration there. And this view here, this is coming from the seat tube looking down towards the bottom bracket, and again you can see weld penetration. These are the riv nuts. This is where the bottle bosses would be. A little bit of swarf there, but nothing major. Right now, we're in the early stages of deciding whether to be a Ridley dealer to go alongside our brands of look and time. And the reason is because they offer a bit more variety in their range, and also they're one of the few brands that actually do a really comprehensive range of just frame onlys. As part of that, Ridley have lent us this. This is their Kanzo Fast, probably their most famous bike. Now, I don't own my own gravel bike yet, but if I did, I think it'd be something like this, which is essentially a lightweight, fast, rowdy road bike capable of doing some off-road work as well. However, Ridley have said that I can't ride this, but I can take it apart. Just for reference, when we compare this to the aluminium one we're building, this is 8.75 kilos, and this is with the carbon wheels, the GRX Di2 group set, fully integrated carbon bars, everything. This is pretty much as high spec as it gets. 8.7 kilos. So first up, we can see that the axle goes in and screws in with light hand pressure, everything aligned as it should be. The good news is that these dropouts are super clean. No paint overspray in that. Maybe that's been removed by the mechanics, but on both sides, that is how dropout should look, completely clean of any paint, so you get a nice flat surface. The brake surfaces here need to be much better than this. I can feel this lip, which is okay when you're running 140mm calipers like this, but the second you put an adapter on here to run 160, this isn't flat enough. And there isn't an awful lot to work with there with the facing tool, so this would have to be a very, very careful sort of sanding this down with like fingernail emery board. So just removed the cranks from this. Let's see how easily the axle comes out. Always a good test of alignment, and no, that's not moving without a hammer. Yeah, this is a really tight fit, and it sounds awful, doesn't bode well. So this is using the Rotor 4130 bottom bracket, which means it's a 41mm shell for a 30mm axle. So these bearings are super skinny. It's not a great combination, but hey, let's pull this out. They seem to be rotating okay so far. Sadly, this bottom bracket is not in good condition. There's light overspray on the actual inside here, but this face here should be completely faced and flat, and I can feel there's ridges and bumps like paint build up. That should be bare carbon, and that's important because there should be a completely flat interface against this face of the bearing. And this is the 40.95 go gauge. Absolutely no chance of that going in. That's not really surprising because we are measuring 40.45, quite undersized. Sadly, a familiar story on the 9 drive side. It's more like 40.45, really tight fit. And again, paint over spray just here, only a very light dusting this time. And again, this face here should be completely faced. However, checking with the parallels, I am pretty confident that both sides are actually quite well aligned. So this will be an easy fix in the factory just by running the reaming tool through and facing it off at the same time. Taking a look at the steerer then, I can't really disassemble it much more than this without disconnecting brake hoses. The steerer tube itself is more like a D shape. You can just see that compression bung there. And if I sort of lift this up, you can see where those cables run. Steerer tube feels nicely finished, and the mechanic has actually put some grease on those bearings, which is good. And inside this bearing seat, all looks nice and clean as well. No obvious paint over spray in there. Down at the crown race, similar sort of story. Good layer of grease. Also, this is lovely and smooth, just what we would expect to see. Down at the seat post, it's actually nicely finished on the inside, but there is not even the slightest little shred of construction compound in there at all. It's completely dry. And this little retaining nut as well, this should have some normal grease on it to help maintain its normal function and prevent corrosion. Again, completely dry. Let's take a closer look at this bottom bracket then. And it's actually quite clean on the inside. You don't really see many sharp edges. Let's just have a poke up the down tube. There we go. So this is all looking pretty clean. There's no major ridges. It looks like there's been good compaction. Looks nice. There we go. This is the drive side chainstay. That wire you can see is a Di2 wire. I can just pull that. That's the Di2 wire moving. And again, you can see some debris left behind from where the inflation bags have been, but generally speaking, that's good compaction. I don't see any sort of ridges and definitely don't see any sort of surface voids. It's kind of what we expect to see. And then this is up the seat tube. We're looking at the Di2 battery here. Again, there's a join there, but that looks like it's been finished quite nicely. That all looks good. So this is inside the head tube then. That's that blue thing you can see is just the bearing seal. And the sort of the lighter colour stuff you can see around it is a little bit of resin filler. Mostly it's very smooth. There's a little bit of debris left behind there from the bag. But again, looks like good compaction. I would love to know the circumstances that led to this. You see, how did a bike become almost perfect apart from the bottom bracket, which seemed to be completely overlooked? It makes no sense. Like, was one mechanic responsible for the whole build and then just somehow forgot to look at the bottom bracket? And squeezing these bearings in, it must have been making a noise, like scraping metal against carbon without any sort of lubricant would have made a horrible noise in a hole that is too small. And you can literally see the paint build up. You don't need scientific instruments to measure that. And it seems crazy that a company that prides itself on its quality control lets something like that slip through. I mean, I'd love to know how that happened. Anyway, it's not our problem. The bike doesn't belong to us. We're going to put this back together as we found it and return it to the Ridley representatives and await their feedback. In the meantime, we're going to get back on with our aluminium Kanzo build, which is shaping up to be a pretty cool bike. So this super fast aluminium build needs a super fast set of wheels. So we have gone for some DT Swiss hub. We've got these really cool graphics that we got from InvisiFrame, so it matches the frame. We picked up these awesome WTB. These are the CZR i23. So our plan is we're going to build the front wheel with the DT Swiss Aerolite spoke, and the back wheel we're actually going to build with the DT Swiss Revolution, which is a slightly stiffer spoke, but butted, comes down to 1.5 millimeters in the middle. Here's our built wheel then. If you've never used one of these dials before, this is a millimeter the whole way around. So as we spin this, we're looking for about 0.2. So it'll deviate 0.1 either side of that zero as we go around. So beautifully true. We did the tensions on this with the tyre on for a carbon wheel, came into 115. With the tyre off, it's 110 average spoke tension and all nicely balanced. Good looking wheel. Here we are then. Don't you agree? This looks absolutely fantastic. And can you believe that Ridley actually paid us 250 quid to put all of those faults right? And I'm glad they did, because now we've got such a stunning bike. And the reason we want to do this, we wanted to see if we can get an aluminium bike to be even better than a carbon bike costing twice as much. And I think we've got some fantastic details in here. And this isn't an aluminium versus carbon thing, because sometimes just aluminium is the better choice. And we wanted to build this for someone that wanted to strap bags to it and lights and fenders, in which you can't really do that with carbon because the bags like wear away at the material. With this, you've got a really solid, reliable bike, but it's still a lightweight, racy frame. So the details that we've done, first of all, we've gone for a wireless group set, so we've blanked those holes off as well. Nice finishing touch, stops water just dripping down them. We've also gone for a fantastic set of hand-built wheels. This is probably the thing that really makes this bike stand out. And this is what the DT Swiss hubs, which you can service the world over, standard DT Swiss spokes, and these fantastic WTB wheels and the Goodyear tyres. Absolutely fantastic combination, really makes the bike. The gear ratio choice on this was a bit interesting as well. We wanted to use the Shimano Hyperglide system, so we went for that Apex Cassette 12 speed, which means that the world over, wherever you get stuck, you can nearly always find a cassette that's going to work on a Shimano Hyperglide system. And then we had to source a 42 chainring to get the gear ratios we really wanted for this. Remember, fast touring type of gravel. And then after that, that's where we started to look for our price savings. So we've gone for a standard aluminium seat post, standard aluminium handlebars, and a fairly standard Pro Logo saddle as well. So all of these sort of things can be upgraded if you really want to. The weight, as you see it all here, is 9.1 kilograms. Now, for comparison, remember, this was 8.73. So we've got about 330 grams difference and about 3,000 pounds difference. Now, I don't know about you, but I think that's a pretty compelling offer. So as I said at the start, this bike is available for you to buy right now if you want to. It's on our website. All the links and everything are below. Now, we've totted all this up and we think this comes to an RRP of around £3,900. But we want to start our price at the same price as the entry level of the Ridley Kanzo Fast Carbon, and that's going to be 3,750 quid. If it doesn't sell, we'll drop the price by £100 every day until it does, and we can deliver to the 100-mile radius. But let's have a think what else you could get for that kind of money. A Mason Boker with the Force Explorer, similar sort of gear ratios, comes in at 4,100 right now. That's arguably its closest competitor. You might argue that their welds are a little bit neater than the Ridley, but it's a very, very similar bike. This might be slightly on the racier side. You have the Trek Checkpoint Carbon, massively de-specced with mechanical gears, aluminium wheels, that sort of thing, for a very similar sort of price. So you tell me down in the comments, out of those sort of options, what would you rather have? This fantastic high-spec aluminium bike, pretty much maxed out, or a carbon frame which still has an awful lot of upgrade to go before you really get that ride quality that you want from it? So to wind this video up and bring it to some sort of conclusion, I want to talk about Ridley, the brand. You see, we took all these bikes in because we wanted to take a closer look at Ridley as possibly becoming a dealer. The reason is I really like Ridley. I like their designs. The designs look fantastic. I like their paintwork. I like their geometries. I like their sort of philosophy in business. I like the fact that you can go on and configure your bike. You can choose bar widths, you can choose stem lengths, you can choose aluminium or carbon wheels, you can choose your group sets. I think that's a really progressive idea, and it stops a whole load of wastage as well. So there's an awful lot of stuff that I really, really like about Ridley. And I think this video has shown that on the inside, the actual build quality is really, really good as well. But there is just one tiny thing missing, and it's quite an important thing. And it's just that one extra person on the quality control line between the paint shop and the mechanics. And that is just check in that the frames are up to standard before they start putting parts onto it. If they can just get that thing sorted, I think this is going to be a real brand to watch. Okay, time to start firing those thumbs up and get into the comments. Let me know your thoughts on this video. We've covered a lot of ground. I appreciate that. Hit that subscribe button. Until the next time, take it easy.